I can do something because I'm a girl.
I want to send this message that it's not impossible to be an Arab woman, to achieve and win maybe one day a Grand Slam, maybe be #1, you know, and I want to help the next generation to be present here.
Well, I was born with the EEC syndrome, which means that I have 4 fingers on each hand. I have 3 toes on my right foot and 4 toes on my left. For me, it's just about people taking strength from my story to construct their own story, and I'd love for as many people as possible, you know, just to keep pushing their own limits and not let other people tell them what their limits are.
I just really hope to inspire people to just be confident in themselves and to never hold anything down, because I think we've all been in positions where we've had to, and it's so important to be able to speak your piece.
Barrier by barrier, but breaking those, that's what makes you stronger. That's what takes you to places where not everybody can go.
Oh, awesome. Very cool, very cool.
I'm just trying to be the best version of myself. I'm trying to first and foremost improve every day as a person and then as a tennis player. I think trying to instill those values in as many people as possible, particularly young kids and young girls all around Australia and all around the country is something I'm really passionate about, but it's also giving them the confidence and almost trying to allow them to be themselves ultimately and feel comfortable in their own skin as well.
I think it's encouraging that we all can find this voice and we all can be free to express it in our own way, to be taken just as that's where we stand. And I think that makes the world a better place, and I think more female athletes and women in general can stand up for this.
I think people used to accept the things that used to be said, but you're seeing the newer generation not tolerating a lot of things, and I feel like it's really good because you're pushing forward, or like barriers are being broken down, especially for females.
Your outfit is amazing. You are such a queen.
And it's so good to start at an early age to teach women that you can ask for anything and it's okay, and continue to ask and to do it in a way that with a lot of aplomb.
And I'm very proud of women who are really strong and continue to, you know, move that needle to equality and showing how powerful women are.
Instead of proving people wrong, it's about proving myself right.
You know, when you have more girls doing it like Naomi, I think it's encouraging that we all can find this voice and we all can be free to express it in our own way.
So I'm very, very proud of our sport for being, you know, #1 women's sport in the world and being globally a huge advocate for that.
convening 19 virtual listening engagement sessions with just under 300 stakeholders in Southern Africa to co-develop a research for development agenda for climate resilience, all the while homeschooling 2 kids under 5 years old during lockdown.
I wrote and finished writing a book during a global pandemic whilst working full-time.
Coming back to research full-time and moving to another country with 2 preschoolers.
Completing a 2-year part-time master's along with a dissertation, all while doing a full-time job, which also involved me sitting for my final year exams in sickness and in health, and while traveling for work conferences abroad.
Staying motivated and productive while working remotely and from home.
I'm particularly proud of the work I did when I was at Oxford University, when I set up a new master's degree in water science policy and management. Not only was this trying to be groundbreaking, and 16 years later seeing all the terrific students that have come through and are making a big impact, but I did this when my children were very young, and it was tough, as many of you will know, but we still did it.
Being a working woman with younger kids was a tough journey. Proving yourself a perfect professional at workplace and at the same time proving yourself a perfect mom at home. Every single day was challenging. But now, when I look back, I feel proud. I feel happy that I made it.
What I thought I would never do is being a researcher for quite a long time. I thought it a demanding and a boring career. I've learned to love being a researcher. I'm constantly challenged and exposed to new ideas and perspectives. It's demanding, yes, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. I love my job.
Subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon and never miss an update from Latestly.
This Women's Day is for women on the front line and for women in the back office. It's for the health workers who have been our guardian angels. And it is for our sales assistants who have kept our supermarkets open. And indeed, let us never forget that almost 80% of them are women. Women's Day is also for all the mothers who have taken care of their children during the lockdowns, But this Women's Day is also for the women who lost their job during the crisis. And Women's Day is for those who no longer want to settle for discriminations, insecurity, and unfairness. As a female leader, I would like 2021 to bring good news to all of them, to all European women. And this is what we are working on. Later this year, we will propose new legislation to fight violence against women. This has become even more urgent because of the lockdowns. Second, women must be at the center of the recovery. Next Generation EU will finance good jobs for women and men alike. We've set ambitious targets on jobs, skills, and poverty reduction. And this can only be achieved by having more women in the labor market. But to do this, we need to make progress on work-life balance. And this is what empowerment means. Freedom to be a mother and to have a career for all women. Having women in leadership position should become the norm, not the exception. Slowly, but steadily, Europe is changing, and it shows that everything can change with tireless perseverance.
It was early March when an electronic greeting card dropped into my mailbox. The cover featured a colorful depiction of a young female figure playfully applying lipstick, surrounded by flowers and butterflies, along with the text, "Happy Women's Day." To be honest, I was a bit baffled. The following day, another e-card arrived, this one featuring a photo of a hot pink box filled with matching tulips. The second card also wished me Happy Women's Day, helpfully adding the date March 8th. Only then did I realize that International Women's Day, celebrated worldwide on March 8th, seemed to be emerging as an occasion for private rituals involving greetings, gifts, and flowers, much like Mother's Day. If that is indeed the case, it will be yet another transformation of a holiday that since its inception in the early 20th century has undergone vast changes. The first Women's Day celebration took place in Chicago on May 3, 1908. Organized by the U.S. Socialist Party, it brought together an audience of 1,500 women who demanded economic and political equality on a day officially dedicated to the female workers' cause. The following year, women gathered in New York for a similar celebration. Inspired by these American initiatives, European socialists soon followed suit. At the International Women's Conference, which preceded the general meeting of the Socialist Second International in Copenhagen in August of 1910, leading German socialists Louise Sitz and Klaus Zetkin proposed the establishment of an annual International Women's Day as a strategy to promote equal rights, including suffrage for women. More than 100 female delegates from 17 countries unanimously endorsed the proposal. What would seem a fairly innocuous gesture marked a significant break with socialist tradition. Though ideologically committed to human equality, socialists had long argued that women's liberation would only materialize under socialism, and the only way for working-class women to improve their lot in life was to join working-class men in their struggle. Feminism was seen as a cause for middle and upper-class women with their own class interests in mind. Yet fearful that the feminist demand for female suffrage might attract too many working-class women, socialist leaders decided to embrace it. Still, They insisted that the vote was a means to an end, not an end in itself. On March 18, 1911, on the 40th anniversary of the Paris Commune, International Women's Day was marked for the first time. More than 1 million Austrian, German, Swiss, Polish, Dutch, and Danish women took part in marches and meetings. The Austrian-Hungarian Empire alone witnessed more than 300 demonstrations. In the following years, similar events spread across the European continent. Generally spearheaded by socialist women, demonstrations called for women's rights and female suffrage, and many feminists readily joined their socialist sisters. The outbreak of the First World War in 1914 halted much of the international collaboration that had underpinned International Women's Day and sowed deep divisions among socialist women. Some supported national sentiments, while others protested the war and called for working-class unity across national divides. Eventually, many of these women, including Claire Zetkin, would abandon socialist parties who rallied around the war effort and instead embraced communist parties and organizations. Yet if International Women's Day generally floundered during the war years, it was an International Women's Day celebration that ultimately triggered the Russian Revolution. Russian women had first celebrated International Women's Day on March 8th in 1913. 4 years later, on March 8th of 1917, working-class women in St. Petersburg, exasperated by rising food prices and rapidly deteriorating living conditions, led a demonstration calling for an end to war and political autocracy. Once unleashed, their cries for bread and peace could not be quelled. By March 12th, Tsar Nicholas II was forced to abdicate. The events of 1917 in Russia ended up setting the date for the celebration of International Women's Day not only in Russia, but across the rest of Europe. In 1922, Lenin established International Women's Day as a communist holiday in the new Soviet Union. The same year, Chinese communists began to celebrate it, and after the founding of the People's Republic of China in 1949, it was proclaimed an official holiday. Spanish communists used March 8th of 1936 as the occasion to stage a huge demonstration in Madrid demanding protection of the Spanish Republic against a growing fascist threat. International Women's Day would remain a communist holiday until the end of the 20th century, marked by carefully orchestrated state-sponsored celebration of women's contributions to the state. As women in the United States and across much of Europe gained suffrage in the wake of the First World War, much of the momentum for International Women's Day celebrations waned. During the interwar years, some European socialists and social democrats continued to mark Women's Day, carefully omitted the term international to distinguish it from its communist sister celebrations, but events rarely drew substantial crowds. It was only with the emergence of second-wave feminism in the late 1960s that International Women's Day re-emerged as a significant day of activism. Though the day never recaptured much attention among American feminists, European feminists embraced March 8th under the updated name Women's International Day of Struggle, or Frauenkampftag in German, or Kvinnernes Internationale Kampdag in Danish. The new names signal political radicalism and a resolute distance from organized party politics, both of which were key features of the women's movement in the 1970s and 80s. Nonetheless, March 8th celebrations typically involved not only feminists, but a broad assortment of left-wing activists, women's groups, and labor organizations calling for such issues as equal pay, political parity, reproductive rights, and childcare. During the International Women's Year in 1975, the United Nations first celebrated International Women's Day. 2 years later, in 1977, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution proclaiming a United Nations Day for Women's Rights and International Peace. Eager to disentangle this new holiday from the socialist origins of International Women's Day, the Assembly noted that it was to be observed, quote, on any day of the year by member states in accordance with their historical and national traditions, unquote. Moreover, in contrast to contemporary feminist practices of casting it as a day of protest, the United Nations billed it as, quote, a time to reflect on progress made and celebrate acts of courage and determination of ordinary women, unquote. In the decades since the 1977 resolution, the United Nations has in fact marked International Women's Day on March 8th, with events and activities centered around a particular theme such as Empower Rural Women, End Hunger and Poverty, which was the theme in 2012, or Empowering Women, Empowering Humanity, Picture It, the theme of 2015. In spite of such institutionalization of International Women's Day, and in following with its long history of competing traditions, March 8th is now marked in a variety of ways around the world. In many former communist regions, it's a public holiday. In Western Europe, it remains an occasion for feminist demonstrations, and in many developing countries, women's rights activists take to the street to voice their call for gender equality. In Italy, men allegedly give yellow mimosas to women to celebrate the day. And in the United States, some people apparently send cards and flowers to honor the women in their lives.
Good morning. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, good morning.
Hi, Ma'am Alice. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Happy International Women's Month.
Good morning to the Philippines. I'm halfway from the Philippines. I'm recording or mainstreaming or talking to you from the United States. My name is Ricky Cruz. I'm the United Nations Association of the Philippines representative to the United Nations headquarters here in New York and to the World Federation of United Nations Association based in Geneva and in New York. Welcome to this digital conference in which we will be discussing the impact of pandemic on women voices and realities forum, UNAP celebrating Women's Month, and the 500 years of Philippine Christianity. We will also launch later the International Mariam Summit on schedule May 13, 2021. How are you, Ma'am Alice?
I'm fine. Well, everybody, I'm Professor Alice Lucas from the Philippines. I'm happy to be with my partner, Rick Cruz from Texas, Dallas.
Women's Month will never pass, or Women's Day will never pass without UNAP talking about women concern. And we will talk about it more today. But before we start, let us all stand up to sing the national anthem, to be followed by the opening prayer by Dr. Ramona Ranieses from Legazpi, one of our Board of Trustees. So let us start with the national anthem, please.
Bayang magiliw, pero sa sila
Thank you.
May we ask Dr. now for the opening prayer?
Oh, yes. Good morning, Doc Reneses. May we hear from you?
Good morning. Yes.
Make it a little louder.
All right. Do you hear me now, loud and clear?
A little more.
A little more. Here you go.
Yes, that's
Thank
better.
you.
Thanks.
All right. Let us now put ourselves in the presence of Almighty God. Father, thank you for this beautiful opportunity, this occasion that you're putting us on this day. For each mind and heart that feels the presence of this room, we thank you. Only you truly know that we are setting out to accomplish something today. We have an idea, a vision, hints, and so many instructions for the betterment of the women of the world. We have talents, abilities, and time to work. However, only you can see in perfect detail the end of every beginning, every project, every season, every life. Nothing is ever in vain, for even mistakes and missteps are used for the good. Your righteousness, Almighty God, transcends all our efforts and understanding. Forgive us for our pride, the pride that puffs us up and the pride that threatens to unqualify us. Strengthen our confidence in you who have made us to be. Set us free from comparison to work together efficiently. Bless this occasion today. Bless this gathering. Bless the UNAP. Bless all other organizations involved and participating today. And bless our main goals and objectives for this very activity, as well as the lives of those we will encounter afterwards. Make us truly count on you, Almighty God. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you for that very holy interfaith prayer.
Thank you very much, Dr. Reneses. Ma'am Alice, it is really truly heartwarming that before the establishment of the United Nations, there's already a women's empowerment. The voice of the women are already being heard, not in actuality, but the voices are being heard on the street that women wanted equality. And this world can be better, Ma'am Alice, if you are the one ruling it, if the women ruling it, if we men ruling it, but not the majority of men.
I agree with you.
I know, but I'm glad that the Women's Day is very, very famous and popular. And then you don't need media publicity for it to, what do you call this, to be popularized. And we are happy that later on, we will hear the message of the grassroots chairperson of the Philippine Commission on Women, what do you call this, Dr. Sandy Montano, about her attendance to the ongoing Commission on the Status of Women on the United Nations. Also, Ma'am Alice, we will be hearing messages of the President of the United Nations Association of the Philippines, the direction, and one of the women trailblazer, if I may say, Dr. Nona Ricafort.
Yes.
Can you introduce who will give us the opening remarks, ma'am?
Oh, for the opening remarks, we shall have our Vice President for External Affairs, Professor Lilia Casanova. Good
Casanova.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Prof.
You're not yet unmuted, Dr. Casanova.
Unmuted. All right. Hi. Good morning once again.
Good morning.
I have prepared opening remarks, which I think is different for the International Women's Day. So let me share. Who's disabled attendee screen sharing? Please allow me to screen share.
Yeah. Multiple participants can share simultaneously. You can share now.
All right. I'm getting my PowerPoint material, but I cannot. There. Are you able to see it?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
I have to move you here so I can see my presentation material. All right. Beautiful women of the world, smile. There you are, beautiful women of the world, smile, smile, smile. Powerful, beautiful women of the world, smile more. It is time to celebrate. Good morning, everyone. Happy Women's Day. It is nice to have a good crowd celebrating International Women's Day. Every day is really Women's Day, wherever you and I are, whether at home, keeping safe from the COVID, or in front of the computer, doing online business or online teaching, or maybe attending a webinar on virtual cooking, dancing, exercising, or visita iglesia. Women take control. Women make the world go round. Remember Margaret Thatcher? The woman who proved to the world that a woman can be politically strongest in the midst of politically strong women. What did she say? If you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman. Question is there a woman in the IATF for COVID?
Oh, it seems there's none.
That is right. That is why I am asking that question. And that is why the question is, are things being done for fighting COVID? All right. I will not answer that question. I'm just raising the question. All right. How does a woman demonstrate power? She says nothing when she wants to say everything. But there's a big difference between quiet woman and silent woman. The first one is a miracle. The second is a time bomb. But there are some women, or many women, who still feel they need permission, according to Emma Watson, a movie star in the movie Harry Potter. And she says, we need to lead and change that. I remember in the 80s, 1980s, when I was already married and I was being sent by my office to represent the office to attend an international conference. When I went to the DFA to get my permission to travel, because at that time you need a government permission to travel, they gave me a form, and the form was husband's consent. And I said, what? Do I need my husband's consent to travel? I'm beyond 18 years old. And they said, yes, that is the regulation. All right. So I went home and I told my husband, I need your consent to travel, but I said, I'm not going to get your permission. I'm not going to get you to sign this form. I'm going to sign it on your behalf. I'll be forging your signature because I don't need your permission to travel. And my husband just laughed, and he just shrugged his shoulder. So I went to the FA, gave them a form with a forged signature of my husband. They never knew that I forged a signature. So it was really a very stupid form. Anyway, 1 year later, the DFA, the government, removed that requirement. A stupid requirement. So now we're free to travel. Women, you and I, we're free to travel without getting any man's permission. All right? But let me tell you, most of happy women don't have men in their lives. All right? I'm sure there are many right there, okay, among our friends who are very happy and they don't have men in their lives. But a woman says a strong woman doesn't seek revenge, when something is done to hurt her. She moves on and lets karma do her dirty work. Do you agree?
Oh,
And
yes.
when she does that, she doesn't have any qualms. She says, I'm not heartless. I've just learned to use my heart less, which reminds us of what really Aristotle said thousands of years ago. And he said, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all.
Mm-hmm.
And once more, let us remember what our powerful woman president of UNAP says. Become confident in who you are, that no one's opinion or rejection can rock you.
Yeah.
And if you think you've heard everything and you've seen everything today, now, you're mistaken. Don't be complacent because the best is yet to come. Happy Women's Day. Bye.
Yes, bravo.
Wow, what a
I
very
experienced the same with you. I traveled with the consent of my husband. That was long ago. That was my very first travel. And true
Right.
that there is a
Right,
miracle.
you are.
Later we shall have a testimony regarding
Right,
miracle. Okay,
right.
thank you.
Okay. And I
Thanks.
have to leave, my dear friends, as I ask permission from Alice. I have another meeting actually going on, and I ask permission to just be late to attend that meeting. All right.
Okay,
But
thank you
it is
very
going
much.
to be a wonderful International Women's Day celebration by UNAP, and one and all, to my friends, happy Women's Day.
Happy Women's Day.
Thank you
That
very
was
much.
very nice opening remarks.
Powerful message that opens a lot of questions. I'll be happy to sit down with Professor Lilia as my teacher, and it will open a lot of critical thinking as a student. And I'm sure her students are very lucky having her. Thank you for that empowered women, Dr. Lilia Casanova. Okay. To proceed with the next topic that we have the President of the United Nations Association of the Philippines. She came from a clan of leaders, both men and women, who has continually shaping this country. One of the pioneer family in Philippine women education, or the pioneer. She has served president of the Philippine Women's University and had served president of Philippine Women's University Manila and Davao, and also has been heading a lot of non-governmental organizations like Girl Scout, among others. A very empowered woman. I would say she's an American educated because only few women during her time will finish a master's degree at the Stanford University. And I'm bragging about her master's degree here in the United States because young women should emulate that you can finish a degree during that time when women, or a few women, handful women, are your classmates, but majority are men. One of our great women leaders of our time who continuously and selfishly served the country and dedicated herself to the life of the Filipino people. Let us all welcome, my friends, the President of the United Nations Association of the Philippines, Dr. Amilu Benitez Reyes. Madam.
Good morning, everyone. It's an exciting morning for all of us. And I feel great that we can celebrate oneness in spirit and in our mission. Our coming together in the midst of pandemic is a faithful manifestation of our strong faith and enduring hope that truly springs eternal. UNAP has been established precisely on the perspective that our common future can be much better than what is currently happening today. In fact, UNAP is a dreamer of big undertakings, bigger than what is visible in our everyday lives. And that is why I accepted the challenge of becoming president of this very renowned organization, founded in 1947, almost as and 1 year earlier than the foundation of the National Council of Women of the Philippines. Due to pandemic, people seem to have less trust with the Lord, that they would succumb to giving up more, bitterness against those in authorities, believing that they can do better than what is happening, and worsening with less optimism. We in UNAP would like to take this opportunity precisely to call attention to all of you attending this gathering that we must not allow that kind of optimism, that kind of pessimism. On the contrary, we should be optimistic. We should be able to dream. And Pope Pius Francis said, dreams are our gifts. They're precious. They should not allow others, but we should share our dreams. During this Holy Week, I invite all of you to believe and to start rethinking, revisiting, reconciling, and above all, finding ourselves in a way that we can say, this is the effect of pandemic. We can do better. We can do really a way that has not happened in the past, because we shall create our own pathway. So my talk today, I have a report, and I've requested the people to keep rolling it as I am able to speak with your permission from my heart. I believe I want to speak from my heart because you have touched me. You have made me feel that there is hope for all of us. And that is really the mission of UNAP, to begin to challenge what's happening today, and for all of us to gather ourselves and meet again after Holy Week to figure out how can we improve and how can we change and what can we recommend, so that some or other we are able to create our own pathway. Time is going fast. Imagine a year has passed. And this year, I didn't expect to be able to survive staying home, almost house arrest, not being able to go out because there are restrictions that they all cannot go out. They all cannot go to church. They all cannot go to the grocery. And these are our only pastimes. And I think it's about time for us to reconsider and to perhaps provide a new pathway. There is need for us to have a paradigm shift. We must envision the change we want. We must allow not change to change us. Rather, we must alter and amend what's happening every day. Without conscious effort of knowing what is happening in our very own life, our own being, most of the time, these changes are taking place and really changing us, when in fact we should change what we want to happen. This is the purpose why UNAP is celebrating the spiritual dimensions of this whole undertaking, which really means the sustainable development, the her story, womenomics, and we must begin to show that we are the catalyst. In the past, they would say information, communication, and technology. UNAP is now saying we must have innovation, collaboration, and transformation. These are our programs and projects, and we feel that UNAP is in a very pivotal position to bring about a new beginning, especially we are celebrating the 500 years. So I asked myself, after 500 years, we were at the birth of Philippine Christianity. And I asked myself, and I ask all of you now, why should there be a lot of separation, division, when in fact we should be together? So those are some of the questions that I'm asking myself. Should there really be a separation of church and state, public and private, national and local? Or should really begin to realize that the world is made up of all of us that can make a difference? Rethinking about many things that have been going on, we should now begin to try to learn from the lessons that have happened in the past. And we should begin to realize if we want to succeed, we must provide the spaces for our own pathway. UNAP is creating our own significance because we are creating our own new pathway. But that pathway cannot come across without you and I bringing about a real change that starts from the heart. You can only see clearly and visibly what is from the heart. And we have been able to work for the past 25 years. Beijing Platform for Action, Helena Benitez, my aunt, was the first commission on the status of women. She also pioneered in environment. She was also acclaimed as the first president of UNAP in UNAP. So my friends, as we begin the whole week next week, let us try to really ask ourselves, what do we want to do? What do we want to change? And what is the future that we believe we can work out? I've always said that her story is the root cause of discrimination, oppression, because women have been invisible in history. That's why we coined the word her story. Encourage your students to write her story. The past is history. The her story is the future. Without women, there will be no humanity. And I believe there is need for us to really concentrate on the changes that we want. And the changes that we want is really in terms of participatory, dialogue, interaction. Because without dialogue, we don't understand each other. And without dialogue, we cannot feel the presence of Almighty God. Because only through you and me is the presence of the Lord. Because a new thing is born, a new thinking, a new perspective is made aware. And therefore, I ask all of you now to help us in UNAP bring our vision at the level of all of you and all of us working together. I believe we can do more because there is need for us politically re-educate ourselves. Whatever we have learned, it's very hard for us to unlearn what we need in order for us to relearn what can we do in the midst of pandemic. Pandemic, I think, will last. It will not easily happen. And most of us are waiting. Waiting for what? What are we waiting for when we can do a lot by ourselves? And I believe feminization of poverty must not be limited always to the women. In fact, womenomics, the 5 richest women in the world are women. And we started off almost 25 years ago. And I believe today there's need for us to consider that women can make a difference. And with partnership with men, not equal to men only, I think it's beyond equality. It must be gender partnership. It must be mothering, loving, caring, nurturing, transforming men and women. The world now is getting crazy and crazier every day with all sorts of things happening. But what we do, we can somehow or other criticize, we go against it. Let's change our own perspective. Let's do the change and make them follow us because women can make a difference. Imagine, without women, there's no humanity. 56% of the world population, workforce are women. But what is happening to us? We're allowing them to take over when in fact we can make the difference. We can transform, but not by ourselves, not we alone, aiming for equality when in fact we should be together. Men and women must be together in partnership. And if we can do that, I believe we can see beyond ourselves. We must experience what our heart is telling us. We must experience what is really and truly what we feel, because that is what the change can come about. And today, we would also like to take opportunity to also talk about Fatima. Fatima, I was there when the Blessed Mother was brought, Imelda Marcos, and when she went out, the ladies there, Mom, you have done great things, but it will cost your life. And sure enough, when she got to the hotel, snap election, the beginning of the end. By accident, some time ago, just a few days ago, there was someone that came to me and she says, Mom, I don't know why I'm here, but I want to share with you that I almost died. And later on, I just want to let you know, she will testify her own experience because she said the message of Fatima, which is the conversion of Russia, is not yet happening. So today, as we celebrate our Christianity of 500 years, I ask all of you, let's begin to rethink, why should there be a separation of church and state? Why should we all have a separation of public and private when we can all work together for a greater and bigger? And my friends, all of you, the Philippines has a very significant role. Geographically, we are located, and I think we must be able to fulfill the prophetic mission of evangelizing an Asian century, because the first 30 years were 20 years liberation theology. But now the Asian century talks about different kinds of religions and how we must be able to have an intercultural dialogue, inter-religious, inter-network. It's all about collaboration. And if UNAP can be the means, the pathway, creating a new superhighway that meets all the differences and try to bring them all together, I think UNAP has been able to achieve the most important is world peace. Peace cannot happen unless we ourselves are able to put aside our biases, our prejudices, and more than anything else, the kinds of perceptions that we only want to mix and mingle with those of our own. It's about time we show out. And whatever happens, our Lord, humanity is present within us. Our daily crosses, our means of our difficulties, our frustrations, our trials is our sources of purification, our sources of being able to bring about divinity. So in the great 7 pillars, I have recommended that perhaps there is need for us to consider the 8th pillar, which is women and education. So our humanity is our source of divinity. So to all of you, thank you for this opportunity to share with you what's in my heart. It's almost a year now that I have been the president of UNAP, and I want to be able to encourage all of you to bring about a new superhighway, a highway that is not yet being there because we are making it happen. If it's there, it becomes surfing. We will disturb the status quo. Let's create something different. Let's create something that is not yet there because you and I can have a difference of the vision we want to achieve, of the way the women must bring about in partnership with men a holistic, a wholeness, our own spirituality. And when we begin to talk about our own sense of mission and our destiny through service is how the Lord, our God Almighty, through the help of Mother Mary, can make a difference. Thank you for this opportunity, and I hope today's event is the opening of a new pathway where all of you, through the Holy Week, will begin to rethink, to reconsider, and above all, let's meet again and find out how we can strengthen this new pathway so that some or other we can be certain that we are being able to pave the way for world security, peace, and food security for economic recovery. Thank you and good day to all of you. God bless us all.
Thank you very much, Madam President, Dr. Amelie, for that very intellectually delivered message. And she is referring to the 500 years of Christianity. What really had happened to the Philippines ever since? Are we really living a godly Christian life, all the Filipinos? What about the womenomics? What about learning our lessons from the past? What about her story? How her story will end up discrimination? How her story will end up oppression? How her story will educate the public towards world peace.
Okay, so in a little
Without
while.
without women, Ma'am Alice, she said that there's no humanity. And the president is also wanted to really create and recreate an interreligious dialogue in order to establish world peace, in order to establish and create a superhighway. More importantly, she ended up of saying, our humanity is our source of divinity. Very powerful message, Dr. Benitez. And we will ponder and we will hope that we will be able to pick up from all your knowledge here and implement it so that world peace can be achieved. Ma'am Alice?
Yes, in a little while we shall have a video clip with some comments and reactions from the different women.
Mga magulang lang kami kung nasaan siya. Pero hindi ko kayo tatantanan.
Hindi ko makakalimutan.
Ako po, lumaki akong walang magulang.
Tiwala lang po sa Diyos.
Kung manatag po kayo, nandito lang po kami. Hindi po namin kayo iiwan. Hindi namin kayo pababayaan. Magandang araw po sa ating mga kababayan, Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao, sa ating mga OFW sa buong mundo. Ngayon po ay buwan ng mga kababaihan. Ang lakas po ng kababaihan ay hindi mawawari sa isang pagnililay lamang. Marami po itong pinagmumulan at pinaghuhugutan hanggang sa puntong halos wala na itong paglagyan, sapagkat anumang pagsubok, suliranin, kahirapan, pag-uusig, ang pamamaraan at paraan ng kababaihan ay totoo nang hindi mo inaasahan. Ang kanilang lakas ay kakayanin maski ang pagpasa ng mundo. Huwag lamang masakdal sa dusa ang kaniyang mga binamahal. Ganyan-ganyan ang ating inang bayan, na ang ibig lamang ay ang makabubuti at sa ikauunlad ng mga mamamayan. Kaya't kaya po nating harapin ang pandaigdigang suliranin na dulot ng nakamamatay na pandemya. Tiyak ang kababaihan ang mangungunang lumalaban, lalaban at lumaban upang itaguyod ang kanyang sambahayan. Pasan ang paghahanap buhay, gawaing bahay, at pag-aalaga ng buhay laban sa pandemya sa kasalukuyan. Subalit, at ito ay kitang-kita sa lakas na nananalaytay sa bawat babae. Walang hamong hindi kakayanin. Walang takot ang hindi mapupuksa. At walang pangamba ang hindi mapupukaw. Saludo po ako at nagpapasalamat sa bawat babae, sa bawat ina, sa bawat Pilipina, lola, sa bawat tiyahin, anak na babae, at sa bawat Juana na nagsisilbing lakas ng bawat pamilya sa bawat sulok ng ating sambayanan sa nakaraang taon at sa mga darating pa at hanggang sa susunod na henerasyon. Juana, laban sa pandemya. Tiyak, kayang-kaya. Maligaya pong buwan ng kababaihan sa ating lahat. Mabuhay ang sambayanang Pilipino. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas. Mabuhay ang kababaihan.
Thank you very much, National Prosecutor Persida Acosta, for that message to the women. Mama Alice?
Yeah, for our guest speaker, I've known her for many years already, but she don't know me. She is the former commissioner of CHED. She was the past district chairman of Innerville Clubs of the Philippines, District 380. And when I was active in the academe, she was one of the board of trustees of TESDA. The dynamic lady that I am introducing to you right now is none other than Dr. Nona Ricaport.
A cheerful good afternoon to our honorable dignitaries and distinguished speakers
and to all my colleagues in the women's movement and friends, a pleasant good afternoon. May we smile and greet each other in this virtual Zoom gathering. A happy Women's Month. March is a very special month worldwide because the world recognizes and appreciates the great importance of women's contribution and participation in the development of a country. There is a French adage stating the worth of a country is to be gauged by the worth of its women. This underscores the vital role that women play in every society, thus the extent to which she is valued, in a way, determines the state and progress of our country. In the past, women have come together in many international conventions, conferences, meetings, and all sorts of gatherings during the month of March to celebrate their joys and triumph, to share their woes and frustrations, and to reaffirm their commitment to continue the legacy so heroically begun by their grandmothers and mother. On to the next generation. We were enthusiastic in celebrating our solidarity each year, where our multitude of voices were transformed into collective action to attain our aspirations and dreams in our crusade for the elimination of feminized poverty, gender-biased violence, inequality, towards economic and political empowerment of women, among the many other concerns. At least today, we no longer view the role of women leader as a struggle for equality and emancipation, but rather on quality. We see the journey to women's empowerment not merely to influence the world, but to create our niche. We no longer see women leader advocacy as multitude of voices, focused on cause-oriented and gender-related concerns, but rather as service to the nation. Although tremendous gains have already been achieved, of course, important to note, the so-called struggle for women's empowerment can only be achieved if the men fully realize the need and agrees with us. We see the need to integrate men's active involvement in all women national agenda and activities for better understanding and their acceptance for women as their equal partners in nation building. After all, the development of any nation is an outcome of progressive efforts made by units of society, both men and women, and neither one can stand on its own. Both should be stakeholders. This is the very reason why the men should be part in all our activities and programs, even invited in all our events, thus emphasizing the need for our concerted efforts. Once again, in this momentous occasion, we are gathered not only to build and strengthen bridges of friendships and partnerships, but also to share with each other our heroic experiences and successes while we strategize ways towards mainstreaming women's social participation and development in all avenues of concern during this pandemic. The confluence of past significant events signal the gigantic role of women. The door has been opened to wider horizon that allow women to be leaders, movers, innovators, and change agents. We have been empowered by the opportunities of independence, education, and technology. And now more than ever, in this globalized world, we are in a position to make positive differences to the lives of many. As human development moves towards the center on the global stage, people's participation in the development process is now recognized as crucial. Suddenly, the world's attention focused on the realities and dreams of the people, the quest for life of dignity and opportunity for all. Confronted with these complex challenges and concerns that our generation have not experienced, there is an imperative need to redefine our development strategies in evolving a fresh paradigm for sustainable and self-renewing environment development. We are living at a time which is full of uncertainties and challenges, demanding and requiring on refocusing our future plans. This is the very reason why we have thought of hosting the 2021 International Women's Summit to draw our attention to critical women's issues and concerns towards the development of innovative solutions in determining the course of our common future, as viewed in the different perspectives and approaches for the women worldwide, with the valuable insights into what lies ahead by the 15 global women leaders who shared their insights and recommendations. In the recently concluded 2021 International Women's Summit, which was timed to coincide with the celebration of the International Women's Month, when we herald the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women, this led to an innovative multi-sectoral partnership and leadership towards achieving the UN 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, despite the setbacks brought about by this pandemic. We do not underestimate the pains and difficulties lies ahead. But together, we should be able to face the challenges towards an ideal situation based on the women's commitment and declaration finalized at this International Women's Summit. Our dynamic speakers expounded clearly on this extensively as to how they were able to address innovatively with a fresh paradigm shift in perspective to meet the challenges at hand. Their shared life's aspiration and experiences that made it possible for them to transform work that made it into an opportunity to reach out and serve others. A doorway to a better life, open on a wider horizon, focus on the dreams of the people as they created new opportunities. Our speakers pointed out we are in a position to make positive differences to the lives of many in becoming better individuals. And how our speaker, Soroptimist International President Penny Bobs, puts it, she stated, we should look at the past to inform our future. The world is different than it was just a year ago. We are to be more creative and more effective, creating new ways to communicate and varied methods in delivering our services, while learning new ways on how we do things. Very important reminder, we should not remain in the past, not even in the recent past, and move on forward today and into our future. We know the threat of the corona pandemic is not going to end soon. The present and emerging realities in this changing landscape need a new vision and new ways of intervention with timely, relevant, and responsive actions as to how we shall manage our realities. The participants of the International Women's Summit collectively and unanimously agreed that gender equality is a right and that the fulfillment of this right is the best chance we have in meeting the most pressing challenges of our times. From economic crisis, lack of health care, climate change, violence against women, escalating conflicts, poverty, food security, and poor access to quality education. We believe achieving gender equality and women empowerment are integral to each of the 17 goals of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and only by ensuring the rights of women and girls across all these 17 goals shall we get to justice with economies that work for all and sustaining our shared environment now and for future generations. Therefore, as women leaders and advocates, we dedicate ourselves without any reservation to create and implement programs and activities to call for government support and action, and to actively involve ourselves in this endeavor for the advancement and empowerment of women with strong determination, utmost cooperation, and solidarity. For those who wish to have a copy of the Women's Summit Declaration and Commitment, we have submitted them to your respective presidents, or you can call on us and we can send you by email. Therefore, let us work together, redefine our development strategies, and move on to make a difference in women's empowerment and nation building. Enjoy the afternoon, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Dr. Nona Ricafort, one of the trailblazer in organizing the Women's Summit. She's also had organized in the past several women's gathering or conferences and youth gatherings, reminding us to be happy, to smile, and to recognize that the journey of the women is to create a niche in this world. Women in national agenda, women equal partnership in nation building. She also reminded us that the door be open to a wider horizon and the new opportunities will set in. Empowered women and in education and technology, and to start a fresh paradigm for sustainable environment, for sustainable development. And as we face this pandemic, Dr. Nona emphasizes the hope and the new vision and intervention in fighting pandemic and to manage these realities. She also called on the government to act and empower women. For she said, gender equality is a right to meet the challenges of our time. Thank you very much, Dr. Nona, and may you continue to do your good works in organizing convergence meetings of women and of humanity. Okay, Ma'am Alice.
Yeah, in fact, last year she organized a very wide national conference that was held in Okada. And she proved that she is really a very dynamic lady. Okay, so let's proceed. Yeah.
And a good organizer. Maybe next year we can do face-to-face already.
Yes.
Okay. What's coming, Ma'am Alice? What will be our...
I think we have another video clip from the Secretary General.
Okay. Let us all welcome the Secretary General of the United Nations for his message on the Women's Day. UN Secretary General Antonio Gutierrez.
The COVID-19 pandemic has erased decades of progress towards gender equality. From high job losses to exploding burdens of unpaid care, from disrupted schooling to an escalating crisis of domestic violence and exploitation, women's lives have been upended and their rights eroded. Mothers, especially single mothers, have faced acute anxiety and adversity. The consequences will far outlast the pandemic. But women have also been on the front lines of pandemic response. They are the essential workers, keeping people alive and holding economies, communities, and families together. They are among the leaders who have kept prevalence rates lower and countries on track for recovery. This year's International Women's Day highlights the transformative power of women's equal participation. We are seeing it ourselves at the United Nations, where I am proud that we have achieved gender parity in UN leadership posts for the first time in history. The evidence is clear. When women lead in government, we see bigger investments in social protection and greater inroads against poverty. When women are in parliament, countries adopt more stringent climate change policies. When women are at the peace table, agreements are more enduring. And with women now serving in equal numbers at the top leadership posts at the United Nations, we are seeing even more concerted action to secure peace, sustainable development, and human rights. In a male-dominated world, with a male-dominated culture, gender equality is essentially a question of power, and males are an essential part of the solution. I call on countries, companies, and institutions to adopt special measures and quotas to advance women's equal participation and achieve rapid change. As we recover from the pandemic, support and stimulus packages must target women and girls specifically, including through investments in women-owned businesses and the care economy. Pandemic recovery is our chance to leave behind generations of exclusion and inequalities. Whether running a country, a business, or a popular movement, women are making contributions that are delivering for all and driving progress towards the Sustainable Development Goals. It's time to build an equal future. This is a job for everyone and for the benefit of everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the Honorable Secretary General of the United Nations, Secretary General Antonio Gutierrez. At this time, I would like to introduce to you our next speaker. Our next speaker is a very known person to me because she was my schoolmate during college days. She graduated nursing, and in nursing, we have learned how to take care not only of the sick and the dying, but how to take care of the public. That is public nursing. We learn how to be generous and how to help other people. And I would say this person is destined really to be in one of the highest positions in the Philippine government in order to make changes for the women. She had established organization and foundation in order to augment what the government and the public sector or the private sector cannot do by establishing training center, by establishing rescue centers or rescue ambulances, and by being on the ground to help the most vulnerable in times of needs during disaster. Our next speaker has experienced disaster herself and near-death experience when the 1990 earthquake in Baguio City occurred, which devastated the whole country. She is a well-known grassroots women leader And we are fortunate that she is chairing the Philippine Women's Commission. We will welcome the Honorable Dr. Sandra Sanchez Montano. But before we welcome Sandy for her speech, I think there's a short message coming from the executive branch. Can we play this very important message? Technical, were we able to capture that?
I join the entire nation in celebrating the Women's Month. The government recognizes the role of women in nation building and upholding the fundamental equality before the law of both genders. This is why we are working relentlessly to ensure that women have equal access to education, economic opportunities, healthcare, and social services, and growth opportunities. But our work is far from over. Thus, I urge our people to participate in advocacies and activities that promote women empowerment. Let us all work hand in hand to address the needs of women and honor their immense contribution to society. Mabuhay ang ating mga kababaihan.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for that very wonderful message to our women and to the Filipino people. I encourage everybody to let us continue to pray for the president, for our country, in order to be able to lead us to the right way, where all people will experience a good life. At this time, one of the person who are tirelessly, ever since last year during the pandemic, you will see her on the road doing something for the Filipino people, distributing relief goods, ensuring that everybody is wearing a mask, distributing masks, etc., etc. Please welcome the Honorable Chairperson of the Philippine Commission on Women, our friends and friends of everybody, Madam Sandra Sanchez Montano. Sandy.
I am so honored to be part of this morning event, whom I'm gonna share to you public service, women participation in women in.
Louder, Madam, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to my good friend, a dear friend for like 27 years. My classmate in college, okay, our very good friend, Rick Cruz. You're far, but you know your presence here with moderating this event and hosting this event is very commendable. Okay, maraming salamat, Rick, for your service to the nation. I would like to also acknowledge Dr. Ramona Ines Rañeses for the interfaith prayer that we have this morning. It's very heartwarming. And of course, the very lively opening remarks of UNAP Vice President Dr. Lilia Casanova. Grabe mama, talagang ano, may ano pa, may PowerPoint pa. So I was able to digest like, tama nga naman, 'di ba? There's a lot of things that we can be proud of, and then the the message of our president, our very own president, which is mahina po bang audio ko? Wait lang. I'll adjust. Elton, pakitulungan lang. Okay. Give me some moment for my audio. The audio. Okay. So, is my audio okay now? Okay. So, yan. Okay. So,
better.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Rick. Okay. So, the the welcome message of President Amilu Benitez Reyes is very timely. Yes, the question also of a separation of state and church, the private and the government. Okay. So those are the things that we could found in our mind. Of course, we would like to acknowledge, I would like to acknowledge also that first and foremost, yung message po kanina ni former Commissioner of CHED, Dr. Nona Ricafort, is very timely. And, the question that was posted by Dr. Lilia Casanova on um, why in the IEPF there is no woman. Nasa second level po ng mga ng position sa IEPF ang ating mga kababaihan. But yes, bakit nga naman walang women sa IEPF natin? No? So, I would like to acknowledge also a good friend which is being very active during this time of pandemic, no other than Dr. Margarita Ballesteros. I think she's still in Ilocos right now. At saka po sa lahat po ng ating mga kaibigan, Commissioner Limpayem, and of course, Dr. Alice Lucas, and our advisor, si Ma'am Ofelia Apasible. We hope that, this time we're celebrating Women's Month, we will have the chance to see each other, hopefully by next month, sabi nga ni Madam Amilu. So, looking forward to that. And there's a lot of things that we can share, the good news, the good things, okay. Isa po sa mga topic na dapat kong i-discuss is the di ba, uh, yung discussions natin on United Nations Commission's status of women. I'm so privileged, I'm so happy, fresh ngayon po ilalive po natin, okay? Talagang medyo napuyat pa po ako because I have to wait for that moment wherein the Philippines would give the 5-minute intervention on the Commission status of women. So i-play ko natin mamaya after my talk. So at least we will be able to share ano pa yung status ni Juana dito sa Pilipinas. So let me share to you what we have been doing with the Philippine Commission on Women as the national machinery for gender equality and women empowerment, and have been doing specifically during this time of pandemic, how it affected the women, how it um, paano lumabas yung innovative ng mga kababaihan when it comes to women empowerment. And I would also like to acknowledge our God specialist who's joining me today from PCW, Miss Nikki Ario. Okay. Can you please show my next slide, please? Next slide, please. So, to appreciate further, kanina, kasi I came in very early, so I saw the video, very nice video that was played by our moderator on the history of women. Okay, so just to give you a background, okay, in March 25 of 1911, 140 working women died in a fire at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory in New York City. This incident brought to light the unfair labor practices and inhumane working conditions that women workers face and led to several rallies. So until today, women have organized activities to uphold our rights and dignity. Since the 1990s, many countries, if not all, have already given the right to vote, provided and ensured them to humane working conditions and fair labor practices. It was in 1975 when the United Nations began celebrating March 8 as the International Women's Day. This year, United Nations theme is Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World. It's a good it is good to note that women have indeed are in the front line of our battle in this shadow pandemic. Okay, next slide, please. Truly, our country has made uh, great considerable progress in promoting and increasing women's political participation. However, we are still far from fully achieving it. Allow me to provide you some notable statistics in the government. Two of the landmark documents that reiterate the importance of representation of women in the space of leadership are the Beijing Platform of Action of 1995 and the Republic Act 9710 or the Magna Carta of Women of 2009. Through the Beijing Platform for Action, the international community came to a consensus and agreed to a comprehensive blueprint of commitments supporting the full development of women and their equality with men in 12 areas of concern, which include women in power and decision making. So this is our topic for today's event. Here we recognize inequality between men and women in the sharing of power and decision making at all levels. We are called to take measures to ensure women's equal access to and full participation in power structures and decision making. Next, we have to increase women's capacity to participate in decision making. We also have the Magna Carta of Women. This is the local translation of the provisions of the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women or CEDAW. A salient feature of this law is to increase the number of women in the third level positions in government to achieve a 50-50 gender balance between the next 5 years, while, com- while the composition of women in all levels of development, planning, and program implementation will be at least 40%. Next slide, please. Let us recognize, okay, next slide, please, that women comprise nearly half of the country's population. So imagine po, kung 110 million plus ang population sa buong Pilipinas, half of it are women. Women in key positions in government have shown that they are as capable and effective as, as their male counterparts in assuming leadership and decision-making roles. Women's representation in the Senate and Congress is at 28%. This is above the world's average of 25%. During the 2019 national and local elections, 7 women out of 24 senators, while 11 or 17% are women out of 63 senatorial candidates. Likewise, 20.16 or 8,782 of the national and local election candidates were female. The Philippines is one of the countries in the region to have the highest rate of women's representation in politics at the local level at 29%. Similarly, our country has already elected two female presidents, namely President Corazon Aquino and President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, and two female vice presidents, while currently 2 out of 22 or that 9% cabinet secretaries are women under Duterte administration, namely the Department of Education and the Department of Tourism. Next slide, please. In the government service, women comprise 50.88 of the government's total human resources. In the career service or CES, females dominate the second level, which includes professional, technical, scientific positions at 59 or 57.59%. The total number of females in third level or executive managerial positions in government is already 42%. So mataas na po ang level natin when it comes to the third level ng ating mga managerial position. And the government ensures appointment and promotion to the career executive services or SES are based on merit and fitness to ensure equal opportunities for both the men and the women. Next slide, please. It is very important, therefore, to ensure that women's representation will not just be for the sake of appearances, but more so their voices their voices, our voices, will be heard. We should focus on building the capacity and enhancing leadership and decision making skills of women to be able to effect change and influence policy discussions. Women's representation is significant in the realization of development goals, for it is through our representation that our voices are heard and our issues, concern, and perspectives are made a fundamental part of decision making and policy making process that affect the lives of every woman. Let us also be reminded that involvement of women results in a broader perspective and more equitable gender balance. The challenges of all types of leadership is to involve resilience, courage, flexibility, listening, empathy, collaboration, caring, and recognition of each gender contribution. Women are very unique, truly. Next slide, please. To further contextualize, it was in leadership where we depended on, specifically when the World Health Organization announced that we are now facing a pandemic. It has also been more than a year that all we all have been placed under the community quarantine. With the prolonged imposition, women and girls are placed at a greater risk of experiencing violence at home brought about by some of these factors. So these are the factors that really brought what we call this shadow pandemic to each women and girls. Economic instability that contribute to household tensions that also triggers abusive behavior. The restricted movements and absence of public transportation which constrains victim survivors from seeking help, and the limited access to necessary care and support services such as clinical management of rape and mental health issues, the medical legal services and counseling. One of the concerns during this period that we are continuously monitoring and reporting on is on the violence against women and children. Next slide, please. The data shows us that there has been a decline of reports when we compare statistics from 2019 to 2020. Nonetheless, this does not mean that occurrence of violence against women has actually decreased. The Philippine National Police expects a rise in cases upon the lifting of quarantine protocols as more women would be able to go out and report. Okay, next slide, please. Amongst the regions, Region 7 or the Central Visayas ranked first with the highest incidence reported of 2,219 of the VAU cases. Next slide, please. Here, you will also see the comparative data being reported in from January to February of 2019 until this year. We can see the significant decline in the reports. However, to, re- to reiterate, this does not mean that there is truly a decline. Instead, this calls for us to be more cautious and lend a helping hand to those who may be needing our assistance, referrals, and help. Okay, next slide, please. I would like to share that PCW provides VOW referral services to victim survivors or informants. So anybody can call this number, can message us. If you or someone you know are afraid to report abuse or any reason whatsoever, you can reach out to us for help. We will do our best to connect you to your barangay, to your police stations, or other service providers that can help you. You can save these hotlines on your phones for easy reference. So we have Aling Police hotline. For Globe, we have 0966 725 5961. For Smart number, we have 0919 7777 377. And we also have our Ayak Bausi Secretariat. We have their mobile number, which is 0917 867 1907. And you can send our email ayakbausi@pcw.gov.ph. We also have our landline 0287 or 873-51654 local 12122. Okay, next slide please. Aside from the referral services, PCW as a policy making and oversight agency work with national government agencies to ensure that their activities, projects, programs, and plans uphold gender mainstreaming and gender lens and are articulated in their GAD plans and budgets. During this time of pandemic, PCW uses multiple platforms to reach women and girls, such as we distribute IEC materials to all to local government units. We also have a presence in social media through our website, so you can check www.pcw.gov.ph. You can also check our Facebook page. Ang Facebook page po natin is Philippine Commission on Women. Follow us on YouTube accounts. And of course, we also have this Instagram and Twitter accounts. And we also partner, TikTok partner with us. So this Women's Month, there will be may TikTok na po ang PCW. Of course, the availability of our VAUSI referral hotline na diniscuss ko po kanina, the concern of violence against women and children is just one of the many issues that we continue to address in this unprecedented time. We call on our partners across sectors to aid us and support each other in this campaign to end violence against women and children, alongside achieving gender equality and promoting women's empowerment. Okay, next slide, please. This month, as we continue to celebrate the National Women's Month celebration, may we be reminded for, for our overall theme between 2017 to 2022, which is We Make Change Work for Women. We continue recognize that women are active contributors and claim holders to development. Women are not just beneficiaries, but partners in achieving growth. We are all called to be leaders in our own way, and as women, we already have our voices individually, but collectively, we can pursue more and make better policies, programs, and activities. As women, may we be reminded that we are important, we are relevant, we are free to be who we want, and that we are equally capable to do anything and everything. May we all be champions of change, and as we say it in PCW, Juana, laban sa pandemya. Kaya! Our work is far from over, but we can all be assured that we are working with institutions like you, like UNAP, that will help us push for our causes and advocacies while upholding our rights and dignity. Again, I'm so thankful. I'm so honored to be part of this event that we are doing it right now with UNAP. Truly, we are so happy with your invitations. And after my talk, we will be sharing to you the 5 minute um, message that we have for the United Nations Commission Status of Women, the Philippine um, country statement. Again, Happy International Women's Month to all of us. Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Can we play the video now? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson Sandy Montano. And thank you very much for really emphasizing. Thank you very much for emphasizing that women is an active stakeholders in development, that you women, first in your own way, that we have our own voices, and women make relevant policy.
Yes.
And of course, women's are change agent. That's why, as you said, wala laban sa pandemya, kaya natin to. So we thank you for continuously working to really alleviate the human suffering in the Philippines. Were we able to download that UN speech of the Honorable Chairperson? Because, ladies and gentlemen, the 65th Commission on the Status of Women is an ongoing conference until the 26th.
Yes.
Is it 6th of March 2021? It started on the 20th. Have we?
We don't have the outcome document yet of the UN CSW 65, but we were able to deliver our country statement last night. That's why medyo puyat tayo kasi talagang we've waited for our turn. And we're so happy to share to you also, Rick, that we were able to intervene also last Thursday in United Nations for the CSW intervention.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah.
I think we were
Do we
not
have a
able
video from her?
to download it, but
maybe she can share it with us. She can share through the screen.
Share, do you have it in your screen that you can share it?
No,
from your
hindi ko po nandito sa aking
let's see if somebody from the technical aspect can help us.
Yeah.
But if not, then we will post it in our Facebook. Ma'am Alice, our Facebook and the
sure.
the United Nations of the chairperson of the Philippine Commission.
This week is very
during the
commission.
Is that her speech, which I got, which is an audio only?
Yeah.
I got from you?
No, it has a video and an audio.
Okay. We did not receive it.
Anyway, what we call this, let's see if we could kind of make some technical arrangement about it. At this time, we will have the open forum. We will have the open forum. Dr. March, are you there? To preside
the
forum.
Nasa group chat natin sa sa 75th UN yung video. May after siguro ng ating open forum, then we can play that.
Hi, good morning everyone. Sa lahat ng mga Juana ng Pilipinas at sa buong mundo, mabuhay po kayo. Mabuhay tayo. Good evening, Rick, all the way from the US, and thank you for taking me in. Just in time, I just came from another meeting and still there are other meetings ongoing. This is the life of Juana in the education sector. In as much as the Juana, our madam and dear friend, chair of PCW, as well as the other Juanas in the world and in the Philippines, are not only busy with household, but busy with the social, political, and domestic affairs in our country. So thank you to our speakers, to Dr. Benitez, Ma'am Amalu Benitez Reyes, and of course, our my boss in the past, who also had created a very strong impact in my pursuit for not only for being a stronger woman, but also one who is focused into public service. And of course, a good friend here who I looked up to, and we have journeyed together for quite a time already in the service of the Filipino people. Well, while she was still with the public sector, and now she is with the government service. Madam Chair Sandy Montano of PCW. So this month is really, really dedicated for women, and I'm glad to see a number of women of the Zen generation, the baby boomer generation. And I think we call ourselves, looking at the portfolio and the list of all these women who are here, I would say We are all the digital migrants. We don't have a digital kid here. All of us, I think, are migrants. And I thank a colleague here and a good friend, Dr. Bertuga, who is also here. So I don't see any question from the chat box for now, but there are prepared questions to steer the communication or the engagement going. The first question, since this is very fresh, I'm going to throw this to Madam Chair of the Philippine Commission on Women, who in the past days I followed the video of the UN, though that was already very late in the evening. It was almost midnight, and even beyond midnight, it was already early morning. This has something to do with the UN 65th Commission on the status of women. Madam Chair, what do you think is the most important agenda now on the status of women in the country?
I can say that one of the what do we call this, important agenda that we have to work
Make it
on
louder,
is,
Madam.
hello?
Honorable Sandy, make it louder.
Yes, yes. Okay. So first, of course, we are claiming for our space, and we are working on decision making in public life as what we have in the United Nations team. And also, we in the Philippines, we're so happy to announce that we were able to have this gender gap closed. Hindi siya ano, kumbaga, it couldn't be it couldn't be achieved in the next 99 years, but dito sa buong Asia Pacific region, tayo yung number one when it comes to closing that gender gap index. And the policies that we are making right now, the legislations, okay, the women priority legislative agenda are all in the front line. So what can I say is that one of the most important thing that we would like to espouse.
I'm sorry, Chair. Can you do it louder? Chair, can you do it louder? We cannot hear you.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, we cannot hear you. Can you do it louder?
Hear me now? Hello?
A little bit louder.
Okay, good. Hello? Good morning, good morning. Hello? Sorry,
May
I'm having
mahina.
some technical difficulty. Okay.
Yeah,
Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. So yun. So one of the key points or key areas that we are working right now is the government have a critical role in creating an enabling environment for women's leadership through the legal frameworks. So we would like that, more women will be join the election. At least, 'di ba, 40% ng ating mga those who's running for election next year ay mas maraming tatakbong kababaihan, because
Wow.
sa ating perspective is that we have 50-50 population, women and men. And then our voices can be heard, our platforms can be more loud, bigger, and voices can be heard louder if we have equal participation in legal platforms and in political platforms. So that's what we're espousing in UN 65th CSW, Dr. Marge. Among others, ang dami, pero ito yung nakikita natin na isa sa mga gusto nating i-champion during our leadership.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think following you on Facebook and also in other social media platforms and even on news, indeed, PCW is making a breakthrough, if I may say, because in the past, I'm familiar with the chairs of the past, the concentration was merely on policy development, meetings here and there, meetings here and abroad, going to New York City, going to wherever. But at this time, this is my first time. At this age, I have seen PCW working on the ground. The efforts of PCW working with the local government units is commendable. That is also being appreciated by our local government units who are heading the or championing the gender and development concerns in their respective areas. If I may speak for my town or for my province, I have seen how they also tried to move not only at the social level but even within the political sphere. But if I may just ask this question, follow up to what you have answered and I have asked earlier, what do you think is the most important thing that a Filipina Juana should be looking into at this time of the pandemic?
Oh, well, as a Filipina Juana, during this time that we are locked down, we were given multiple burdens. So that's why the unpaid care, domestic work, we would like to call the attention of our Juans to do our share because we all know that inside uh, there are so many Juanas who are also in business, like the economic empowerment of the Juanas. These are the MSME. And with the lockdown that we are having right now, part of the mental baggage that we are having is how to keep up with the financial needs, the the household chores burdens that we are facing right now, and of course, there's a lot of anxiety that's happening within the four corners of your houses, and of course, yun nga yung the one of the shadow pandemic that we are having right now. So if I were to give advice to all the Juanas, okay, one very nice thing that we have done this month of Women's Month celebration is we were able to sign an MOU with the 911 Asia Foundation, uh, with the 911 the LG Emergency Hotline, in partnership also with Asia Foundation and the Philippine Commission on Women, that the violence against women and children will be part of emergency cases to be called in times of any eventualities. That's why we are pushing all our Juanas, all our women and girls, and of course our ones and the boys to be vigilant enough because for 1 year now that we are on a lockdown, there's a lot of burdens that Juanas are experiencing. We just hope and pray that as I've told you a while ago, Juana's character we are resilient, we are so caring, we are so collaborative, and I always ask when I go to the community, I go to the provinces, Dr. Marge, Rick, Ma'am Alice, and our participants here. When I ask Juana, okay, kumusta ka? How are you today? Or how are you? With a smile on her face, a tears on her eyes, the Juana would say, I'm fine, I'm okay. And she would smile with you gladly. Ganon
Mhm.
ka-resilient si Juana. So, kaya ang focus natin ngayon is more on the grassroots, the local government units, partnership with the CSO, with the NGO, because we should have a social impact with the life of every Juana, the boys and girls. We have a lot of women priority legislative agenda. This we are doing a lot of lobbying. We are doing a lot of collaboration with the Senate and the Congress. Every month we have regular meeting with them via Zoom or online. Pero hindi natin pwedeng pabayaan. Dapat maramdaman ng bawat kababaihan kung anong ginagawa natin sa national government. Dapat
Okay.
maramdaman nila yung social impact sa atin sa
Okay.
baba.
Yan po. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Sandy, and all the best for everything that you have been doing. I know you are service oriented, and like the other women who are here with us, and of course the men with Rick here and Sir Bert and the other members who are here. We would like that everyone should really survive this pandemic. I would like to throw the next question to our Dr. Amelu. Her sharing on womenomics and other women's rights are really worth pondering and reflecting as well. But if I may ask, Dr. Amelu, ma'am,
Yes, I'm here.
you mentioned about the creation of a super highway as a new norm. But what should really be? Chair Sandy is here. The UNAP members or officials are also here. What would be the priority with all these challenges that you have shared earlier that should
I
be
was
addressed?
yeah, I was thinking that the most challenging issue today is really food security for economic recovery. I think this kind of issue has to be addressed by all of us. We are all suffering from hunger, and the world is also unable to feed everyone because of the pandemic. So I was suggesting that perhaps we must get involved. I have here a kind of, I don't know if you can see this. Do you see this now? I don't know if you can see this. Um, this is something that we're trying to promote: food security. Grow your own food inside your place. And this is really meant having only 2-3 square meter alternative micro ecological life support in the cities and aqua vermiponds. I think many are doing this now. And I think education itself must begin to address the issue of planting. Is never fun, but I think planting is necessary today. So I think our president from PNU and ourselves are trying to work out urban education that will provide much more opportunities for the rural women to access to credit, capital, market, and information. And this is one way by which we are able to address the whole range of issues regarding poverty. So you're telling me about womenomics. Womenomics is really getting involved in the global economy. And many of our women are owners, investors, funders, etc. And I feel that through them, they can help other women and other communities, given the proper environment of providing tax exemption, tax credits, something that will enable them to assist government directly by providing the means by which people who are involved in this can get a kind of tax incentives. Does that answer your question, Madam Marge? Is that's what I'm trying to work out?
Thank you,
Women.
ma'am. Indeed, you have. Yes, thank you, ma'am. Indeed, you have shared earlier a number of things that are worth considering not only for us in the education sector, but all of those who are also doing their respective contributions in the communities where they are in. If I may just share one example here, in our area, we do home gardens or home gardening, and we encourage the wives or even girls to really look at home gardening as one alternative to help us survive this pandemic. So we don't need to go to the market. We don't need to go to the other areas to really buy vegetables, so we grow them. And thank you, ma'am, for the sharing. We also would like to hear Madam Commissioner, Dr. Nona Ricafort, on how she's been championing the engagements of her organization or organizations, if I may say. This is it's something that comes from her core. I personally, I have been like admiring her, where she is getting that stimulus, that strength. She has retired from the government service, but still working and moving along, shepherding women organizations. Dr. Nona, would you like to share your challenges in organizing, hosting all of these events on women? And you, of course, make sure that they are also safe and they follow protocols when you do have events. Dr. Nona?
Okay, let me share this to you. That's a very nice question because I would say nowadays it is very fortunate that we can do all our activities, our events, including international, on Zoom or FB or even YouTube because it is less costly, especially when you do a big international event as what we did 2 weeks ago, a week ago. The cost that we had incurred was minimal because the Zoom provider were donated, and there's really no cost on people coming into the Philippines and you have to pay for their hotels and all that. So there are no other expenses. So now we're moving on doing Zoom events, and the next one that we're doing would be on educators and peace builders, and the other one is on interfaith advocacies. That will be sometime in November in commemoration of the 500 year of Christianity. What do I get? How are we able to do this? Well, if you notice, we had so many small events during this March month. And most of the events, they would call on me to give my advice and all that. I would gladly would always give them what should be the contents of the speeches and all the kinds of advices, how to handle the Zoom and the FB efficiently in their without incurring expenses. So, and other than that, it is a nice feeling when you are able to help the ones who really who are interested to be leaders in themselves. So in the process, as I advise them on the different events, we are able to develop women to be good speakers, what the contents would be, and the program, how it should be presented, and all that. I don't say I am an expert, but from my experience, I would give them all these advices, and it works. And in fact, we're having another one on two events on Saturday, and that is on interfaith and the National Council of Women, and then YWCA. We're having a dialogue with all the LGUs with regards to COVID and how to protect the women. So, in short, if we can do as many webinars, meaningful webinars now, it would be advisable because the cost extent is not much, minimal or nothing. So you don't have to ask for donations and all this. Unlike if it is a face-to-face, you have to pay the venue and all this. It's so costly. So take the advantage of doing all your webinars in educating all these WANAs in a very thrifty way and with a lot of savings. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That's why you have a fan in me here. Having seen you work when you were still at the commission and those trips we have had to attend meetings and represent the country, it's always an honor for me to actually have served and followed your advices as well. Really, this time of the pandemic when the Zoom is it's free when you are with your what's this post paid subscription with any of our telecommunications line. But there is also this what we call the webinar, which is in Zoom, which is intended for a webinar. That means like what you have done in the International Women's Summit, which was really awesome and amazing, where you have rooms, breakout rooms for a particular group. And that is also being done now around the world. And since you shared a bit of one way of supporting our women is bit by bit, or in chunks, we support our women by looking at our by staging short webinars, or also not only short but meaningful, and also thought provoking as well. Timely that we are about to enter that week long spiritual journey for us who belong to the same faith, and that's the Roman Catholic faith. It's now a time not only for the ones but also for us ones to really spend time. And maybe my wish and prayer that after the week long silence would be to have more ones with change mindsets, meaning we really have to let go already of what was it before and embrace the new normal, because the new normal, though challenging, it has its own dynamics as well, if I may do if I may say it that way. But it's a way of life by which we embrace, and we carry, of course, with us not only the personal baggages we do have, but also that of every single one who we serve and who we work with. So thank you, Dr. Nona, for that sharing. The same thing with Dr. Amalu and Madam Chair. But let me just go
Hello.
one last
and
round.
and and
What
also
would
Doc
be
Marge, I think it's also timely that the seniors now are learning the virtual technology, unlike before seniors does not use the computers. Yes.
Yes, Ma'am Alice, thank you for sharing. Actually, I admire. Look at Dr. Amalu navigating with Zoom, with Google Meet, with MS Teams, and Dr. Nona. Well, of course, even Commissioner Nona before was like techie. I mean, she makes it a point that if there's a new thing, or there is something that is in and timely, and she thinks it's relevant, she has to learn it by herself, because I know she believes in learning by doing. And if she really cannot navigate with it, then that's the time that our support would come in. And of course, Mom Alice here, and the other members of UNAP who are already not only I'll call the senior citizens, but the golden citizens of the century, if I may say it that way, because we are lucky here in the Philippines. We have you guys, not only Commissioner, and not only Chair Sandy who has you. I have you as well, because being in the education sector, we need your thoughts and we need your help as well. Rick in all the way in US is nodding his head, so he agrees with what I'm saying. So just one last round. Let me just ask your message for all the women in the world at this very timely webinar on Women's Month. Let us start with Dr. Amilu. There's a short message, maybe a challenge as well to all the women in the world. Ma'am?
Yeah, I just want to assure everyone, I think this is just the beginning of a long journey with all of us. I think we cannot accomplish anything much in just two, but we are able to plant the seeds. You asked me earlier, how do we open the superhighway? Today is the beginning of a long journey of a superhighway. I would like to express my deep concern at the same time requesting everyone who's participating, let's join together and walk together with men and women in trying to chart a new normal future better than the past and trying our best to make sure that the future that we want is what we are going to create for ourselves. And the challenge is, of course, the women, because the women, more flexible, multitasking, and being able to have the patience, the sacrifice, the loving, and the caring, and above all, being able to lead without the men knowing that we are leading them. Good morning to all of you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amalu. Dr. Nona? Please unmute. Dr. Nona, please unmute yourself.
Okay. As I always say, there is no women's empowerment without the men agreeing. And I request all our women leaders here, whenever you have events or seminars or workshop, please make sure invite the men so at least they know what we're doing and they will appreciate and agree with us on our ideas. The only reason why some of the men do not agree is because they don't know what we're doing, because they are not invited. And secondly, a special request, you know, Holy Week is a time for soul searching. What you want to do next after the Holy Week. May I request, we had a 3-day retreat that we had last week, and it's all on YouTube, on FB. If you do not have the link, we will give you the link. I've been spreading the link. And what is in that 3-day retreat? You don't have to be a Catholic. The message that all the priests and all the speakers there were really good, and it was enriching. So I would suggest join us in that retreat during your free time. It's a 3-day that we did, and it was 3 to 5 p.m. every day, and it's all on YouTube. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Doc Nona, for sharing that. Yes, I did listen once, but I made it a point that I will have to go back during the time of the Holy Week. Indeed, the Holy Week is not only soul searching, it's also realigning ourselves, especially when I say realigning, we realign the many pains and give them back to the 5 wounds of Jesus, so that we also be able to feel how it feels to really save one soul, if not the souls of all those who are under our care. That's very good of you, Doc Nano, for sharing the link. Madam Chair of the Philippine Commission on Women.
Yes, thank you so much. The advices and the messages from Dr. Amilu and Dr. Nona is very inspiring, really. From our point of view in Philippine Commission on Women, our government maintains the support in having sustainable actions that recognizes the indispensable role of women in nation building. And by building our partnership, we could foster an environment that would support women's participation again in politics and public life. So if I may say that, you know, women in this are powerful beyond measure and beautiful beyond pressure. So, Juana, okay, laban sa pandemya sa gitna ng corona. Okay, thank you at good morning po sa ating lahat.
Thank you very much, Chair Sandy. Talagang palaban ang Juana laban sa corona. Maglalabanan ng dahil sa corona, so ang coronang yan ay babagsak din siya. So it's like the teleserye Ang Iyo Ay Akin, wherein the other lady is claiming for that position while the other also is fighting for it. So we deal with all the Juanas in the world, wherever they are, whatever status they have in life. because we care. And since we care, we also have to look at our girls who will be the next Juanas, who will be championing what you ladies have started. So we prepare them. We support as well the girls. And since we support them, we are looking forward to also a bright future, and that is one that's prosperous. If you are following what I just said, this actually capitalizes the theme of this year's celebration. Of course, this is a regional, this is an ASEAN, wherein we say our battle cry this time is we care, we prepare, so we will prosper. And as we build back better and stronger as women in the Philippines, we also have to look at who is that model woman who I think Rick will be following it up and presenting later on. So it's been wonderful. It's been a wonderful morning having engaged with you ladies who I respect, and also share the same sentiments and the same journey in here in the Philippines. So thank you, and I would like to ask permission to leave so I can be in another engagement as well. So Madam Amelu, Dr. Nona, Chair Sandy, Dr. Lucas, Dr. Bert, and the other women, empowered women who are here, thank you very much. This is Director Marge signing off.
Thank you very much, Doc March, for moderating in this webinar. It's such a wonderful and lively moderation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
All the way
maybe-
from Ilocos Sur. God
Yeah,
bless you.
wait. Okay. So maybe we can have the video clip, an inspiring video clip from Honorable Sandy. Can we have it played?
The floor to Her Excellency Sandra Montano, Chairperson of the Philippine Commission on Women. Please.
Excellencies, Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen. The Philippines strongly upholds the rights of women to full and effective participation in leadership and decision-making in both public and private spheres of life. 2 women have occupied the highest position in government as President of the Republic of the Philippines, and the current Vice President is also a woman. Women's representation in the National Parliament is at 28%, one of the highest in Southeast Asia and above the world's average of 25%. The Philippines is also among the countries in the region to have the highest rate of women's representation in politics at the local level at 29%. Special measures have led to the incremental increase of women in top-level positions in the Philippines civil service. Women comprise 50.88% of the government's total human resources, and in the career service, females dominate the second level, which includes professional, technical, and scientific positions at 57.59%. The number of females in third-level or executive positions is already at 42%. And the government ensures that appointment and promotion to the career executive service are based on merit and fitness to ensure equal opportunities for both women and men. The government also promotes the participation of Muslim women in the civil service, as well as of women belonging to marginalized groups such as those with disabilities and senior citizens. In the 2-year-old Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, which is a product of a woman-led peace process, the passage of a law creating the Bangsamoro Women Commission was among the first set of laws passed by the Philippine Congress, reaffirming the commitment of the regional government to women empowerment. Despite the gains the country has made, gender stereotypes and values depicting politics as more the realm of men slow down the full realization of women's rights to political participation. The multiple burden experienced by most women in juggling productive and reproductive work also discourages women from taking on leadership roles in the community. Insufficient resources for costly electoral campaigns hinder women from running for elected positions. To address this, A proposed bill in Congress sets a 40% gender quota in political parties' decision-making structures, as well as in the number of candidates that political parties will field during elections. It also creates a fund that incentivizes political parties to achieve the gender quota. The Philippines is continuously strengthening its advocacy campaign to break gender stereotypes and promote women's empowerment and gender equality with the theme Make Change Work, or MCW. To emphasize that making change work for women necessitates strengthening the implementation of the other MCW, or the Magna Carta of Women, the country's comprehensive women's human rights law at all levels. This year's Women's Month celebration serves as a tribute and a call to action that highlights the extraordinary roles of ordinary women in society as trailblazers and agents of change, especially in battling the COVID-19 pandemic, with women comprising 76% of the country's health providers. Participation and representation are vital in fully realizing the role of women as agents and beneficiaries of development, and in ensuring that governance leads to equal access to resources and to development results and outcomes for both women and men, girls and boys. The Philippines is very much committed to implementing further reforms in a whole-of-society approach to create a more enabling environment for women's political participation. We wish to emphasize that the end goal is not merely to increase the number of women in policy and decision-making positions, but to enable and empower women to meaningfully participate in the affairs of the community and effectively influence and contribute to government policy and decision-making towards the achievement of gender equality and inclusive growth and development. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much for that powerful message to the world during your message time to the United Nations, Madam Chairperson Sandy Montano. Ma'am Alice, for our next part.
Yeah, I think our next part is the awarding of certificates, but we have part 2 for the launching of the Mariam something. Okay, so may I have the slide for the awarding of certificates? Can we have also Dr. Ramona, who is the chairperson for the awarding? Are you still around, Dr. Agneses?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so we have to award the 2 speakers.
Yeah.
Please read the citation.
Screen.
Next slide, please. Okay. There it is. Dr. Ramona?
Yeah.
Okay, you may read the citation for the awarding of certificates.
All right, United Nations Association of the Philippines, UNAP, member of the World Federation of United Nations Association, Wapuna, Geneva, presents the certificate of appreciation to Nona S. Ricafort, PhD, for sharing her knowledge during the virtual digital meeting on the impact of pandemic on women, voices, and realities forum. Celebration of the International Women's Month, given this 25th day of March, 2021. Signed, Professor Alice A. Lucas, Mr. Roderick Cruz, International Women's Day conveners, Justice Retired Aurora M. Garcia, UNAP President Emeritus, Dr. Nona D. Felicita, immediate past president. Thank you very much, Dr.
My appreciation and thanks for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts.
Yeah, thank you too, Dr. Nona.
Yeah, thank you.
So next slide, please. Okay, so the United Nations Association of the Philippines, UNAP member, World Federation of the United Nations Association, Wafuna, Geneva, presents the Certificate of Appreciation to PCW Chairman Sandra S. Montano for sharing her knowledge during the virtual digital meeting on the impact of pandemic on women's voices and realities forum in celebration of the International Women's Month given this 25th day of March 2021, signed by the conveners, Prof. Alice Lucas, Roderick Cruz, retired Judge Aurora Resina, Dr. Mona Balisno, and our UNA President, Dr. Amelu Benitez Reyes. Thank you very much, Honorable Sandy.
Thank you very much, honorable ladies, for your time. We have our part 2, which is the launching of the Mariam for Peace. You know, UNAP has an interreligious committee that kind of discuss how we can brought about peace in this world. Without peace, there's no development. Without peace, there's no progress. And with what is happening with the world, there's an imminent, what you call this, chances that war might erupt anytime. But we don't want that. Nobody wants that. We want peace in order to progress. At this time, we would like to inform our viewers that this is not the conversion of UNAP to Catholicism, because we are a non-sectarian, non-religious organization, but it's just the Catholic way of sending a message of peace that we would like to discuss, since majority of our Filipino peoples are Roman Catholic. And as the time moves on, we will be communicating with other interreligious faith that we have to discuss how will they brought about peace in this world. Ma'am Alice, for the testimony.
Yeah. Before I read the testimony of Madam Chili Donner, may I request the technical to please post her picture for a while so that we know the person even by a photo. Okay, let's have the next slide. Okay, for the testimony of Madam Chili, she said, my miracle after rising from my death on May 17, 1991, 6:23 a.m. driving on my way to work. I am Chili Sanchez Donner from Manawag, Pangasinan, married to a German government employee on 1986 in Germany. After 1 month giving birth to our son Christopher on October 20, 1987, I decided to work as a caregiver in a senior home near our house until I met my deadly car accident on my way to work on May 17, 1991, 6:23 a.m. I was announced dead on arrival. According to my husband, the doctor wrote already my death certificate and they called up a funeral home to deliver my coffin to pick up my body. The doctor and my husband came back to the place where my body was. They were shocked when they saw that I am alive and my right hand was waving and my mouth was widely open and calling, Mama Mary. Next, please. Next slide. The doctor told the nurse immediately to bring me back to the operating room and prepared the oxygen. They put CPR and necessary first aid to bring me back and immediately brought me to another specialist hospital through a helicopter. After 7 days, I started to talk and slowly communicate with people around me and asking where I am because I was full of medicines to survive me. I still feel, I still felt dizzy. After 3 months, the doctor from the first hospital who announced me dead on arrival came to my room with two cameramen asking me who is Mama Mary. I told him I saw Mama Mary and trying to reach her. She was wearing a white dress and a blue lace in her waist. The doctor, with tears in his eyes, said, "It's a miracle," and he cannot understand that I returned alive. I told him yes, Mama Mary is miraculous. So I told him Mama Mary is loving and caring. They left with a video, they got the permission from my husband, and next day my story was in the television. The Filipino friends rushed to the hospital and hold my hands, my foot, and my crying, and was crying, saying, "Thank you, Mama Mary." Since then, I continued to introduce Mother Mary Fatima, and sometimes people come to me for healing. That was the testimony of Madame Chili.
Wow, it's a very powerful testimony, especially being declared by the doctor that you're already dead and you came back to life. We all have our different faith, different beliefs, but hearing a story like this will really make you realize that there is a God, there is somebody that is watching us always. At this time, yes, Ma'am Alice.
And it is timely for the 500 years of Philippine Christianity.
And also the opening of the Holy Week soon.
Yeah,
Next,
the Lenten season.
The Lenten season, a time for reflection. And with this that we are having with this pandemic, we really need God on our side, whatever one you believe in. May I call on now the UNAP President, Dr. Amilu Benitez Reyes, Madam Amilu, to launch this Marian Year gathering. Dr. Benitez?
Yeah, I just wanted, Alice, do you have now the excerpt that was mentioned about the message of Fatima? Do you have it there with you?
We can post it. It's
Yeah,
with the
please.
technical person.
Please
Can we
post
post
that.
it now?
I think that's more important than anything else. You have it there? Yeah.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah. The consecration of Russia is not accomplished. Excerpts from the pamphlet account of Fatima operation. Our Lady's request for the consecration of Russia, the Immaculate Heart of Mary, remains unheeded for more than a century years ago. Pope John II consecrated the world to Our Lady of Fatima in 1982, 1984, 1991, and 2000. So numerous graces were obtained for the world due to these consecrations. They do not fulfill what Our Lady requested. The request for the consecration of Russia goes back to the very beginning of Our Lady's visitation at Fatima. Sister Lucia was consistent in her testimony that the consecration of Our Lady requested was that of Russia and not the world. Without this consecration, Russia will not be consecrated and the world consecrated and the world will not have peace. This fact must be stressed to the modern times when wars and rumors of war are continually on the rise. And when the potential devastation caused by today's powerful weapons of warfare far exceeds anything ever experienced in history. The moment has come in which God asks the Holy Father to make, in union with all the bishops of the world, the consecration of Russia to my Immaculate Heart. promising to save it by this means, the collegial consecration requested by heaven in the consecration of Russia. Our Lady, as God has requested, the solemn public consecration of Russia to her Immaculate Heart is a ceremony to be conducted jointly by the Pope and all the world's bishops. Throughout her life, Sister Lucia wrote to her confessor. In response to this question, Sister Lucia remained steadfast that Our Lady did not ask for the Pope to consecrate the world, but Russia. Sister Lucia is clear and farsighted. What Our Lady wants is that the Pope and all the bishops in the world shall consecrate Russia to her Immaculate Heart. And on a special day, if this is done, she will convert Russia and there will be peace. If this is not done, errors of Russia will spread through every country in the world. Maybe it's known to the Holy Father, make it known that I'm always awaiting the consecration of Russia to her Immaculate Heart, and without consecration, Russia will not be able to convert, nor will we have world peace. So as we launch this very timely event, I believe we are saying to everyone that we have to get together in this kind of prayer for the launching the Marian Summit. We all have different devotions and dedication to Mary, but I thought United Nations is committed to peace, world peace. And we must remember and remind the world that world peace, as promised by Our Lady, is the consecration of Russia. So to all of you, as we launch this, we just want to remind the world, and if we have this lifestyle, Fatima, how the Virgin made scope of different world events, World War I, World War II was always not yet converted as far as Russia, Soviet Union, etc. So today, the challenge for all of us is to try our best for prayers and find ways the consecration of Russia to her Immaculate Heart. This we ask in trying to bring about world peace, and that is the commitment of the United Nations all over the world. Thank you for this opportunity to remind all of us. And this testimony just came to me just 3 days ago. There must be a reason and a purpose why she died, and she's alive to tell her message. And I shared that with all of you with the hope, all of us, that peace-loving people, begin to pray for this kind of consecration so that somehow or other we can have world peace. Thank you for this opportunity, and we hope all of you, whether Catholic, non-Catholic, Muslim, whatever religion, let's all work for our own world peace in our own way through interaction, interdialogue, interreligious, and bring about this kind of prophetic dialogue. And the Philippines will play a very significant role as we celebrate our 500 years of Philippine Christianity. So UNAP is proud to share this new superhighway, the Women's Month, meaning without women, our humanity, there is no humanity. And without consecration of our Philippine Christianity, in sharing this with all the migrants who are all over the world praying for our own peace, I think the Philippines can do more than what is happening today because of our strategic location. Thank you and good morning to all of you.
Yes, good morning.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amilo Reyes. I know all religions are peace initiators. So let us all encourage everyone to realize the reality of world peace not only in the Philippines, but a real world peace for all, and especially an inner peace within us. Ma'am Alice, is there anything else we have?
Yeah. Going back to the International Women's Month, I agree that the women are multitasking because yesterday I watched the TV show. All LGU women leaders says that women are multitasking. So I agree with what Dr. Amelio said a while ago. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think we will be organizing this peace building initiative on May 13, 2021, and you will hear again from us.
Yes.
So to finally close and give the final message for this very wonderful morning when we are celebrating Women's Month, that we are also included, we men. You know, our next speaker to close this is one of the youngest university president in the Philippines, who is very true to his word. He is not a politician. He is an educator. He is true to his word in uplifting the educational system of the Philippines. Ma'am Alice, can you add to that and finally introduce?
And he is our UNAP executive director, and he was once a secretary of UNAP in the past years. I've met him when he was younger. Okay, without further ado, may we have the closing remarks from our UNAP executive director, Dr. Bert Hazmin Tuga.
Colleagues and friends, magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. It is our pleasure to be with you today as we celebrate the Women's Month in the Philippines and the 500 years of Philippine Christianity. To Dr. Amigo Benitez Reyes, Judge Aurora Navarrete Risiña, and the entire UNAP family, we commend you for all the hard work and dedication you invested in organizing this program and providing us the opportunity to discuss and reflect on current challenges faced by women, as well as their various and significant contributions in making a better future for all of us. To our guests of honor and speakers, the Honorable Sandra Montano, Dr. Nona Ricafort, other virtual speakers, our forum moderator, Director March Ballesteros, we are eternally grateful for the insights and lessons that you have shared with us today. Your invaluable contributions in fighting against gender-based violence and discrimination inspires us to actively participate in creating a better world where women no longer have to cower in fear. Your presence today as we celebrate Women's Month allowed us to have the courage to enunciate our truths and fight against injustices and discrimination. I also would like to extend my warmest gratitude to our conveners, Professor Alice Lucas and Mr. Roderick Cruz, to everyone who participated in this forum today, and to all the individuals, groups, and organizations, and to the working committees who made this event possible here in Zoom and also in our UNAP FB account. Together, we will continue building a society where women are treated as active agents of change, as leaders, and as empowered individuals. It will take time, but if we embrace a culture where we don't let the system silence us, we will eventually see our hard work and advocacies come into fruition. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Thank you and keep safe.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bert. To the Philippine Normal University family, we wish you all the best, and we are praying that you guys at the PNU continually uplift our educational system. Thank you very much to the working committee, Ernie and the rest of the group, the Philippine Normal University, for always supporting the cause for peace, for always supporting UNAP.
And also, of course, we would like to thank our avid participants every time we have this kind of webinar, virtual webinar. They are always there to join us and participate in our webinars. So, and of course, our guest speakers, Dr. Nona Ricaport, Honorable Sandy Montano, and of course, our loving UNAP President, Dr. Amilu Reyes. And of course, our UNAP Board of Directors. Thank you very much for cooperating with us in this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you and mabuhay kayong lahat. Happy Women's Day.
Happy Women's Day.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
We will sign
Thank you
up for
also, Alice and Rick. Thank you so much for being
Yes.
able to really steer the whole morning. Very lively, inspiring.
Yeah, for the love of UNAP.
Thank you, Madam
At the same
President.
time, achieving.
Okay.
Be
Thank
safe,
you.
everyone. We
Be
will beat this
safe
one, and we will
be
see you.
happy. Always
Stay safe.
smile.
Bye.
Bye.
See you again after Holy Week.
Sure.
Have a blessed Holy Week to everyone.
Bye.